You are in the right place if you want to replace your job, your whatever it is you're doing now with your coaching income. If you want to make coaching your full-time thing, you may hear my little dog in the background. She's a little 10-pound Shih Tzu poodle, which you may have seen on my feed. If you're not friends with me, Mariana Ruiz on Facebook, my private profile. Sometimes I post pictures of her. She's so cute. All right, you want to replace your job with your coaching. That's reason number one why you might be here. You also might be here because you want to create a high ticket package so that you can start creating some consistent revenue with your business. A coaching package that is $5,000 to $10,000 can really help to stabilize the revenue inside of a coaching business. And maybe you've been trying to sell your coaching package, but you have struggled with your pricing. Maybe people are buying and they're just demanding too much, or you aren't able to charge the price you want. So imagine having a system that creates consistent revenue with that high-end coaching package. Imagine when any unplanned expense comes in, you know exactly what levers to pull in your coaching business in order to generate that revenue. Great story about my dog, by the way. So one time I took her to the vet, and it was going to be $2,000 for all the vet bills. I got to do x-rays, all the stuff, and everything's paid out of pocket here in the States. I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? I did not want to charge a single penny of it on a credit card. And so I said, I want to, by the end of this, I don't want to touch my savings. I don't want to charge this on a credit card. I want to, by the time I'm out of this vet office, generate $2,000 and pay cash for all of the services that my dog received. And so that's exactly what I did. And I got on, pulled those levers, and was able to walk out of the vet without having to tap into my savings, go into credit card debt, or anything like that, because I know exactly how to generate those sales and those leads and sell high ticket coaching. All right, if you don't know me already, my name's Mariana. I was a coffee addict and I changed to tea a few months ago. And I am a single mom. I left a very tumultuous marriage a few years ago. I started my coaching practice about 8 years ago and have been coaching online ever since. I grew that business to multiple six figures in revenue and really streamlined all the systems thanks to COVID and not being able to work and doing virtual schooling. And then I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I actually, with my time, right? So what am I going to do with my time? So I actually went back into my corporate career recently, about a year ago, and started working again in hospital administration, which I absolutely adore. And now I get to do that because I want to, and which is very different, by the way. The energy, how I feel in my job, like all of that is completely different than when I was like, I need to leave my job. And plus I'm in a completely different hospital system, etc. So it's much more aligned for me. And okay, so I do that. I invest in real estate, and I run my coaching business in about 10 hours a week, and that business continues to be a very successful, profitable business. In this session, by the way, last year I was named the #2 top coach in New York State and have obviously been featured in many media outlets, which you can find on our website. So over the course of the last 8 years, I've gotten to help people start from all the way from zero to building multi-million-dollar businesses. And I want to share this with you guys because it is such a powerful strategy to up-level your business. We've had clients who have nailed in the stuff that we're talking about here and go from $100,000 business to $100,000 per quarter. Right? So from $100,000 a year to $100,000 per quarter. And maybe you're like, I'm not at 100,000. Would I be able to make that kind of leap? We've helped people go from 0 to 10 and 15K months over the course of just 2 to 3 months by using the strategies that are going to be talked about in this session. Okay. So what I want you to focus on for today is, what is your desired dream outcome that you want to create with your business? Okay. I want you to put aside all the stories about, I don't know if I can do this, I'm not sure if this will work out for me, and just allow everything to be possible. If you could bring in 6, 7 figures with your business, if you could do 5-figure months consistently, if you could do 20K months consistently, what would that open up for you? Okay, so I want you to think about how much money you want to pay yourself with your business. If anything was possible, right? If you could generate unlimited amounts of income, what would your desired take-home pay be? Okay, and here's where I'm going to start to, for some of you, you may have not ever thought of your business in this way. And I want you to start thinking of your business in this way. Okay, so there's a difference between what the revenue, and for some of you, you might be too advanced for this. So just let's go through the steps, and you're going to still need this calculation either way, whether you know this or you don't. What is your desired take home pay? How much money do you want to take home with your business every single month? Okay. Maybe you know that number exactly. Maybe generally speaking, right? How much money does it take for you to completely either replace your corporate income? Maybe you're like, I want to replace it, but then a little bit more, whatever that kind of looks like, right? What is your desired take home pay? Write that down. Now, there is a difference between business revenue and owner's pay. Okay. And this is where many of you have been thinking about your business a little bit incorrectly. This is not to shame, to say anyone was doing anything wrong. I made this mistake. I was like, if I just get this many clients, I will just make this much money. And then I was like, oh, but I still have all these other expenses that come along with either servicing those clients or with being able to take on that many clients, with hiring a team, with software, etc. So in a business, there's a difference between the income that the business generates and the take-home pay of the owner. Okay. So when we talk about desired take-home pay, that is what you're going to actually pay yourself and take out of the business. Okay. And that, write yourself a paycheck for that amount. Okay. Which is very different than the amount that the business actually will need to generate in order to get you there. Okay. And when you're looking at that as one number, often we can hit that number and be like, but what's wrong? Okay. What is wrong? Like, I must be doing something wrong. I know I did that when I got to my first 10K per month. I was like, what the hell? $10,000 a month is not enough. What is wrong? I must be doing something wrong. There must be something wrong with me. And that's not the case at all. What's actually happening is that there's a difference between the business generating $10,000 and you being able to pay yourself $10,000 a month, right? That's two very different numbers and two very different parts of the equation. So I want you to think about your take-home pay, and then I want you to factor in what the business revenue would need to be. And in a coaching business, we are so lucky, you guys. We are in an industry in which you can have 40 to 50% profit margin in this business healthfully. Like, you can healthfully pay yourself 40 to 50% and your business still be rocking. And I am friends with and have a lot of other friends that are business owners, and their profit margins are a fraction of that. And if you've ever run a business like a brick and mortar, I have a friend who runs a bowling alley. Like, those kinds of businesses cannot generate that much profit. And so it's very important that we honor that and we respect that in a coaching business, but we also are honest with ourselves and with the opportunity that is at our fingertips right now in this field. Okay. So we're going to take our desired take-home pay, and then you're going to calculate what your business's revenue would need to be. Okay. So 40 to 50% of total business revenue can go as take home pay. Also, just as a side note, I love to be super conservative with my numbers. So I shared with you, I like to invest in real estate. If I'm doing a real estate deal, I am not going to run the numbers as if everything's going to go great. Every person that I rent to is going to pay on time and there's going to be no problems, right? That is completely unrealistic. And that's not the way life works. As an example, I had a porch built like a week ago, and the guy tears the porch down and there's ants everywhere. I'm like, okay, now we have to deal with like pest control and we're going to have to replace some of the wood. There was a lot more underneath the surface once the work got started. And so I always like to run my numbers super, super conservatively. That way I am prepared and can be pleasantly surprised if things go much better than I anticipated. So that being said, if you want to be super ultra conservative, you can run it as a 30% profit margin or like a 30% take home owner's take home pay to be ultra conservative. And that will give you enough buffer room where if things are going great, you can pay yourself more. But also, here's another piece of this. You want to make sure that you're reinvesting enough into your business. That was one of the mistakes that I made. I was really needing my business revenue when I first started because I started with my preemie daughter in the hospital. She was a preemie. She was born at 28 weeks and was spent 68 days in the NICU. And so I had to leave my job immediately, and my business revenue was not at a place where it could fully support me. So what I did is I buckled down. I literally built the website in the NICU and started selling. I was doing launches. I was challenges. I was on text message, like literally in the hospital, working on selling in my coaching business. And one, I'm very grateful for every single step of it. I would redo it again in a heartbeat. But two, the point of this story is that when you are needing the revenue and you're pulling out too much from the business, you could be missing out on opportunities to invest into the business. And had I been in a different position, I would have reinvested a lot of that money back into the business so that I could grow faster in those first couple of years. And that would have put me in a completely different trajectory 2 years in. Okay. But that was not my story, not my case. But for those of you who still have a job that you need, and yet it covers your bills and you have your coaching business, I would challenge you to go more towards that 30% owner's pay so that you can reinvest a little bit more into the business and watch it grow faster if you have that type of runway. If you're obviously in a toxic work environment or something like that, or maybe there's a family or personal situation coming up, that would be a totally different strategy. But I just wanted to give that out there as an option because those were some of my mistakes. And I just want to be super clear, honest, and transparent with my journey and what inspired and what I learned along the way. Okay. So how many hours a week do you want to be working on in your business? Okay. And this is important because when you're setting this up, there are certain ways that you can either structure your packages or structure the way you sell or structure who's on your team, which are going to affect the hours that you're working. I talked about how during the quarantine, I was not able to work on my business as many hours as I wanted to, and I had to come back to about 15 to 20 hours a week. And that being said, it forced me to be a lot more efficient with my time that I was using in the business. But it also required me to hire people, change the way we were selling, change what we were selling. All of those things had to change in order for that to happen. Okay. And the next part of it is think about why you want it. Because if we understand what about it matters to us. For me, I wanted to do virtual school with my daughter as long as humanly possible. So I did it until the school no longer offered virtual schooling. And that was my personal choice during COVID. So that was a very big motivator for me to get that business to be very hyper efficient in that time period. So for you, if you're going to be looking at your total working hours and you're going to be zeroing in on that, I want you to think about why that piece is important to you. Do you want to be able to take your kids off the bus? Do you want to be able to have 4-day weekends or go on road trips, or maybe you want to travel more? Those types of things can be really powerful towards motivators for you as you're working on reaching the goal. Okay. And next, I want you to think about how you want to feel every single day. Again, we are anchoring in so that everything that you are going to be working on in terms of the numbers has a depth, a weight, a emotional component that you can pour into. Because if we're just working like mad, like hustling towards that number value, then we can lose sight of all of these pieces and make sacrifices that aren't worth it. So if you want to feel peaceful or flow or something like that, and you're trying to hustle your way to be able to leave your job, that's completely not aligned. You're sacrificing the thing that you are trying to have for a period of time until you create a certain thing. It's like a carrot on a stick. And although it can be temporarily okay, many times what I actually find is that people actually self-sabotage and don't actually make progress towards the goal because it feels so unaligned to be acting in that way. Okay. So how is it that you want to feel every single day? All right. And why is it important for you to create this? So when I look at my personal goals, the most important thing, and this is very vulnerable for me to share because I don't often share all of this, but I do a lot. I work at a hospital in hospital administration. I run a successful coaching business and I invest in real estate. And it is a lot to juggle. And at the end of the day, like my deep why is because I want to create transgenerational wealth for my children, for my grandkids, etc. And I want to break cycles of all kinds of not only financial things, but more like trauma and all of these kinds of things, like for generations to come. Like I want the buck to stop here on so many levels, emotionally, financially, etc., for myself, for my kids, for anyone that I touch with my life, and for anyone that I come in contact with in any way. And so that's like a very big why that allows me to keep going no matter what. And so I want you to think about for yourself, what is that for you? It doesn't have to be that big. It can be something that is just really meaningful to you. But I want you to think about, why is it important for you to go after this? If you're going to go after this take home pay of whatever you wrote down, if you're going to go after not just the take home pay, but creating a business that can actually generate that level of take home pay with a 30 to 50% profit, what is it that is going to keep you going when the going gets tough? Because things aren't always going to go your way. Things aren't always going to be magical rainbows and unicorns. And there are going to be tough times, tough moments, and tough days. And hopefully they're few and far between. But the reality is, if you're going out there and you're putting yourself out there, more often than not, you are like having to be brave, right? Having to step out of your comfort zone and create all of this stuff on purpose. And so when you're driven by this very powerful why, it can get you up, get you going, and get you back up and back up all the times necessary. If I would have stopped 2 years in, 3 years in, I can't imagine how different my life would have been, and all of the ways in which I wouldn't have, all of the things I wouldn't have achieved, and all of the things that I wouldn't have gotten to experience. And if you saw my personal, by the way, my personal profile, I'm just gonna plug it again because I just love it over there. Like I just talk honestly, just whatever the hell I want to, whenever the hell I want to. But on my personal profile recently, I was talking about how I literally was driving to an event and I was just crying because I was like so thrilled that this is the life that I get to live. It is literally everything that I personally created for myself and more. And it's so amazing in so many ways. And so my why has been the thing that has kept consistently driving me and pushing me forward towards creating that, even on the bad days, on the days that I thought, oh my God, I can never do this. Oh my gosh. Like I remember the time I was on a super huge podcast. I was on a podcast and someone just asked me, they were like, are you nervous to do your live? I'm like, not at all. I was on a podcast that was like I think it was like 1.5 or 1.7 million downloads per thing. And I was like so nervous. And I remember being like, I could never have done this like even 4 years ago. Like 4 years ago, I could never have done it. Even 2-3 years prior to the day I was on that, I couldn't have done it. It was incrementally, like little by little, like expanding my comfort zone, expanding what I felt comfortable with, expanding my experience. And again, that was all driven by that why, and that why really being underneath. And the why for me personally is a very personal why. However, like the impact of that, right? If I can show people what is possible when they transcend generational poverty, if I can show people what is possible for them when they can create unlimited wealth, and the things I've been able to see as a result of that, right? People leaving abusive situations and abusive marriages, to be like the most extreme of the examples, to people that are like, oh my gosh, I finally get to get my kid off the bus. There's a range of that none of that would have happened had I not had a strong enough why, had I not pushed myself, and had I given up any of the times that I thought I failed or actually failed. All right, so let's do the next little piece. So an impactful business has some powerful elements to it, okay? And what we do in our coaching program, the Impact Driven Coach School, is that we help you to create an impactful business, okay? And what I personally mean when I say an impactful business is, number one, you pay the owner a steady salary plus bonuses. We talked about that in the desired take-home pay when you wrote that down. Number two, provides time freedom. So the second thing I asked you in this, after we calculated what your desired take-home pay would have to be and what the business would need to generate to get to that desired take-home pay, is how many hours do you want to work? Because there is no point in working if you aren't able to enjoy all of the things that you want to. For me, I have certain things that really improve the quality of my life. There are things like journaling, putting my kids to bed every night that I have them, painting, like going out and doing my watercolor painting, spending time with my dog, going on walks, going by the water. We live like near a dock, which is really beautiful. So those are the things that bring me the most joy. If I have inundated with work all of my time and I'm unable to do those things, then that is not fair to myself. It is not fair to the life that I want to live, and it is definitely not aligned for me. And time freedom is a really important element of what we're building here. Okay, number three, it provides employment opportunities. Impactful businesses provide employment opportunities. And that is something that your business will be able to do, if it's not already doing it, through hiring a team. You can hire your virtual assistants, you can hire contractors, you can hire people and provide employment opportunities. I remember the first time that I realized the power of this is when I hired a nanny. I was living in South Texas and I had 2 kids under 2 while growing my business. At that time, I was at about $15,000 a month and I was coaching 15 clients. Each was paying me $1,000 a month. And I was completely overwhelmed. I had messages all the time. Like the time freedom thing was not really there. Okay. So I had messages coming in all the time from all these one-on-one clients. They were asking me this, asking me that. My kids were demanding my attention. I had to cook, clean, do everything at home. And I decided to hire a nanny. And so I hired this woman. She was a retired elderly woman, and she came into our home and she watched my kids so that I could work, and she cooked and she cleaned best gift I ever gave myself, because with that, I was able to really focus on myself. I was able to give myself those things that I told you 5 seconds ago with the time freedom that were so important to me. But the most important thing that I learned from this nanny was, I was like, so you're retired. Like, why are you working? She's, the reason I initially started working for you is because I am living on a fixed income, right? When you are retired, sometimes you end up in a situation with a fixed income. I have a different strategy of how I'm going to retire. I may share that with you someday. However, in this situation, she was living on a fixed income as a retired person. And so she was like, I needed extra money because my air conditioner broke. Now, we were living in South Texas where temperatures can be like 100 to 115 degrees in the summer. And this is an elderly woman in her over 65 who clearly needs an air conditioner. And I was like, holy cow. The power of being able to employ somebody is so amazing. Not only is she able to uncap her income and really be able to work more hours, she could pick up hours, she could do more or less, etc. Not only was she able to uncap her income, but she was able to get the things that she wanted and needed for herself and her family. And so that was when I first realized the power of employing somebody else. And for a very long time, we worked exclusively with 6-figure plus businesses to really help them with their teams, with their org charts, with really organizing the company so that they could grow in a way that was sustainable for them. All right, so that's providing employment opportunities. The next one is giving back, right? Giving back can look like whatever you want that to look like, whether you're going to give money to a charity, whether you're going to donate your time. Maybe I know companies that all of the employees volunteer together and that's how they give back. Or if you do individual, and this is my favorite to do, individual ways that you give back. So there was a woman at the YMCA when I was working out there who was leaving a very bad home situation, and she had these 2 tiny little kids, and so we bought her like clothes and diapers and that kind of stuff for her, and that was really impactful for that specific person. And being able to do something like that for somebody in need that I knew felt really amazing, and that was one of the things that my business was able to provide and do. But again, it can be huge, it can be little, like it can be just meaningful for you, however you want that to look like. I don't want anyone to ever feel pressured to give back, because I think it doesn't feel good to feel like you should be giving back. I think you should give because you want to. So if that is something that resonates with you, do it. If not, don't feel like you should. All right, next is market and sell in a way that adds value. This has been a tenet in our business from the get-go. I have done so many free, valuable things that have led to so many opportunities, so many clients, and beyond. I can't even begin to explain all of the ways in which marketing and selling in a way that adds value has helped my business, but I think that's a very important one. The next one, is making sure you're staying in integrity with your values, right? So when your business is profitable and is sustainable and is something that is really aligned for you, it is much easier to stay aligned with your values. And with my coaching practice, for example, there have been times that people have wanted to work with me one-on-one, and it has not been the good time for them. And although that is a very high ticket offer, it is a very valuable offer, I feel 1000% confident that if that person comes to me and they want to do that package and it's not right for them, I can say no. And getting to a place where your business is able to do that, and you can do that with complete integrity, that is a really important driver and a really important part of running an impactful business. And then the last one is invisible impact. So invisible impact is when by just you showing up, whether that's in a Facebook post or doing a podcast or anything that you might be doing. I love when I talk about what I do, right? Like when I talk about how I'm a coach and how I do all of these things, the people around me somehow get energized, right? I love that. And that's invisible impact. Sometimes you're never even going to know. I remember there was a time that I was on a sales call with somebody, And they mentioned a post that I did that was something super encouraging. And I don't really remember all the details about it because it was so long ago. But they were like, I just so resonated and needed exactly what you posted that day. And I have not been able to stop thinking about you and about working with you and everything like that. So that is invisible impact. And I remember like when she told me the post that it was, I was like beating myself up about it because that post did not get that much engagement. And so had I been going just based on the numbers and being like, this post didn't get engagement, so we're not going to post stuff like that anymore. If I would have gone off of that, I wouldn't have been tapping into what is underneath the surface, which is the invisible impact. And those are the tenets of an impactful business. And I like to run through them because I think oftentimes when we are deciding to build our business, we are looking maybe at the wrong places. Maybe we're looking at what other people have done. Maybe we're looking at some version of just getting out of a bad situation, like what I call survival. Or perhaps we're just like so afraid that we're not going to hit the goal that we think too small. And so I like to give these tenets at this time because I think it offers an opportunity for you to reflect inward and to ask yourself, is there anything from the tenets of an impactful business that really resonate with you that you want to add to your own vision? Is there anything from this that you're like, oh my gosh, this is really going to be helpful for me to add to my vision, for me to add to like the reasons why I want to do this, and that are really going to pull me forward towards my goal? All right, now let's talk about pricing your coaching packages. In the title of this, we are talking about selling 5 to 10K coaching packages. I realize that for some of you, this can be a bit of a stretch. Maybe you're not even charging $1,000 yet, and you're like, how could I possibly charge $5,000? Maybe you are at some random number, and you're like, but that would be like double or triple or quadruple of what I'm charging. Okay, that's fine. I want you to put pen to paper with full faith, and like we talked about, just ignore all of the naysayer saying that your brain may be doing right now. And I want you to write down, if I could charge anything for my package, if my person like that I want to coach would pay for this, which by the way, we're going to get into this in a couple of days, even if you're in a non-business niche. So hang on tight. Okay. So just write the number. Okay. Write the number of how much you want your high-end package to be. You stepping into the highest version of yourself, the vision of what you want this business to be, the desired take-home pay, the desired working hours. How much are you charging? How much are people paying for your package? Okay. Now, we're going to do some division. Okay. So we're going to go back to what the business would need to make, right? Because we need to take what is that overall number that the business needs to make in order for me to have the desired pay that I want. Okay. And so we're just going to do the simplest thing ever, and we're going to divide by the number that you have chosen for your high ticket package. Okay. So I'm going to give some examples. This does not mean this is what you have to charge. Okay. But I'm going to make the math super simple because my brain sucks at doing mental math. Okay. So let's say you have a $10,000 coaching package that you want to have. Okay. And then your desired take home pay was $50,000 yeah, we'll go with 50,000. Okay. Which means your business would need to generate 100,000. Okay. And you have a $10,000 coaching package. Okay. We're only using these numbers because my brain can do it. Okay. So ready? How many clients would you need to have in order to hit your goal of $100,000 business and a $50,000 take home pay? Okay. So you would need 10 clients, right? Okay. So I'm going to give you a second to do the math. How much money or how many clients would you need in order to hit your income goal for the business? Okay. And remember, the income goal for the business is different than the take home pay. Okay. So think about that number. And this is why I like to teach selling high ticket. Because for most of you, that number is not in the hundreds. Okay. For most of you, that number is a manageable number that you could probably hit with the given audience you already have. And that's why high ticket is so freaking powerful, because you don't need thousands of clients. You don't need to grow an audience to thousands or millions. Like, you don't have to hope and pray that you go viral for this to work. And when that happens, right, you're able to hit that number really a lot sooner, because you don't need to wait to grow your audience. And so that's number one. Number two, because you learn as you're going through the process of selling high ticket, you learn the exact levers to pull. You're able to create clients on demand, and do so in a way that creates clients very quickly, like we talked about with the vet story. Okay, that is today's training. Okay, I want you to spend the rest of the evening reflecting on what it is that you want, really stepping into the energy of that, and remembering that nothing is too big of a goal for you. You are able to get to this goal. You're 100% capable, no matter how bad your situation is right now, no matter what you have or don't have that you're bringing to the table. As I shared with you, like, I came from a lot of nothing. Okay. And that was a really difficult situation, right? Think about having a preemie daughter who's literally in the NICU and being in the most difficult situation of your life, and literally building a website, and within 7 months getting to where you have 15 clients paying you $1,000 a month. In that situation, my daughter came home on breathing monitors. Okay. If I can do it under those circumstances, you can do it no matter what you are going through. And I'm here for you. I want to teach you, happy to support you, ask questions, get the help you need, and I'll see you next time. Bye. We are doing a free class called How to Create and Package Your $5,000 to $10,000 Coaching Package in 5 days so that it sells. And you can join us there by going to impactdrivenentrepreneur.com/high-ticket. And I'll see you on the other side.